In the darkest nights, we find our light. Battered souls, but we won't lose sight. Surviving together, never alone. Through every trial, we carry on. Surviving together, never alone. Through every trial, we carry on. Surviving together, we stand tall. United forever. Strength and courage will overcome. Oh, surviving together, victorious, and never, never alone. Hand in hand, we'll face the unknown.
We see you, we hear you, and we believe you. Hey everyone, how are you doing on this Wednesday afternoon? You have found Surviving Together, a safe space for trauma survivors to connect and build community on their healing journey, as well as providing trauma-related education for all. Before I forget, if you want to hit that like button before you leave today, guys, up or down, whatever you're feeling. And if you haven't subscribed, think about subscribing. Hit the all bell for notifications, and you'll make sure to get notified whenever I am live or I put something out. So, hey, Don, how are you doing? Listening at work. Don is over in Australia, for those of you guys who don't know. So, he is on his work day tomorrow as we are dealing with our day today. And if it looks like it just got a little darker, it's because my other screen just went off. So I can get a little closer. This is not oh, that's why, because I didn't turn on my other lighting. There, that's a little better. I don't want to, I don't want to turn that one off, but hey, I got 5, 6 more days, something like that, and Amazon's it's kind of like their Amazon Prime days. I think it was like their pre Black Friday, so the beginning of October, they're doing a big sale for a couple of days. So that's when I'm planning on getting my new camera. So, and Deidre Gore is here. It's 11 in Ireland. Yes. Okay. And Deidre, I have a question for you, and you know it's probably coming. So, Embody Illusion is joining us. Oh, so good to see you. So, yes, thank you very much. Before we kick off getting on some celebratory things, I do want to say let's send out all of the hugs and loves and thoughts and prayers that we can for Jimena. As many of you know, her father passed away this past Saturday evening, and Krumel, who has just kind of had some losses that he's still working through. So that's why he hasn't been around for a while. So let's send out all of our good thoughts and our good juju to both of them, and hope that they heal and get through their grieving processes. So I want to start out with that. And then we can jump into some celebrations. Yes, it is my birthday today. And that was my question for you, Deidre. Yay! I told you I had a feeling, didn't I? Didn't I? Deidre Gore got a new job. Yay! I'm so happy for you. That is awesome. Oh, good, good, good. I was hoping it was going to be a double celebratory day. Um, what have I done to celebrate my birthday today? Let's see. I've taken a little time to myself. Um, this is how the conversation with my son went. He got home and he said hi, and I said hi. And he said, "Why'd you open my package?" And I said, "Well, because I didn't know the package was for you because I'd had another one that looked just like it." And he's like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna go shower." He just gotten home from work. And I said, "That's it?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Nothing else to say?" And goes, "Uh, no." And so I was sitting on the patio, so I closed the slider on him. And he opens it up again a second later. He's like, "You okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm laughing. He's I'm not in on the joke, Mom. What's going on? I just said, "What day is it today?" And he just thought and he thought for a second and he goes, "Oh, is it your birthday?" I said, "Yeah, yeah, it's my birthday." He was like, "Oh, okay." I said, "Thanks for that birthday gift." And "I didn't get you a birthday gift yet, Mom." And I said, "Yes, you did." He goes, "I did." And I said, "Uh-huh." I said, "I ate your buntlet cake for breakfast." I don't if you guys don't know what bunt cakes are, they're like circle cakes and they've got a little hole in the center because of the bunt pan that they're put in. And there's a shop that sells them near us, but they make mini ones. And so they're only about this big. Um, and then they put frosting on it. This was strawberries and cream, so it was like this really creamy with strawberries, and it was really pretty good. And I saw that in the it's been in there for a week, almost a week. And he had two that my parents had given him, and he had already eaten one. And it's a week later, and he still hasn't eaten the second one. I mean, what are you doing? I ate mine as soon as I got home last Thursday. So I said, "Well, that's breakfast. That's my birthday breakfast." Yeah, strawberries and cream was what it was called. So it was kind of a strawberry cake. It was pretty good. It was pretty good. You you can't say happy birthday? Why not? Say happy birthday for me, Brian. Brian, how are you doing? Good to see you. Oh, you already said happy birthday. You can't stay happy birthday. I'm not following. Train, how you doing? Good to see you. He forgot. Yeah, oh, you have forgot last year too. I reminded him. I think it was last Wednesday or something, because I said to him, or it was like Saturday. I said to him, I said, the only thing I said, don't go to the dollar store last minute because you forgot my birthday, and get me candles or just whatever else you can find at the dollar store, right? I said, just no, don't do that. I said, the only thing I want from you for my birthday is time. So sometime between Wednesday, today, and Sunday, just carve out like 2 or 3 hours that we can sit down and, just have some time together. I'm going to make him fix my leaky sink. Oh, you can't stay. Oh, you can't stay, comma, or period. Happy birthday. Okay. See, punctuation matters. I love the sentences that they'll put, and then they'll put a punctuation with it, and it makes it to be totally different. I love it. Okay. Well, thank you, Brian. I appreciate it. Good evening to you and to whatever you're going to be doing for the rest of your day. You have a good evening. Punctuation saves lives. It does. Excuse me. Um, so yeah, I mean, he's a young kid. I mean, he's got so many other things on his mind, and we my parents were always big about celebrating birthdays, but my brother's birthday is on the 7th. So his birthday is next Tuesday. And because they're so close together, and we weren't raised with a ton of money. We didn't really we didn't want for the basics, but I never had the designer jeans or, we never had the extras type of thing. So I only had one birthday party that was like actually my own. And I remember it was in fourth grade. And otherwise it was pick a date in between, like the 3rd or the 4th, and that's when we would celebrate our birthdays combined with my brother. My son just dropped by and let me know he's leaving. And so now that I am like an adult and totally on my own, I'm like, I'm really into my birthday. It's the only day you get. I always had to share it. It was always kind of, brushed. It was like, happy birthday, here's a card or something on your birthday. But then everything else was in the middle and we shared. And I hated it. I hated it. It never got to really have your day, right? I think everyone deserves to have their day. You can forget everything else during the year. Mother's Day, Sweetest Day, Valentine's Day, we don't have to celebrate if I was in a relationship. We don't have to celebrate any of that other kind of stuff. Don't forget my birthday. And it's on the first. It's not a hard one to remember, right? So I laugh about it. Hey Rich, how you doing? So yeah, it's the first, it's the new month. If any of you guys were in Tommy Stig's social club this morning, it is kicking off Italian month. So I guess I am sharing today with the very beginning of Italian month as well. So if you're Italian, you may celebrate yourself. DeAudrey, your husband forgets his own birthday. Wow. Wow. That I don't think I have ever heard. I I did know a couple who never celebrated their anniversary, and they didn't celebrate the other things either, Valentine's Day and Sweetest Day. They thought that, they love each other every day of the year and they didn't need a special day to remember and to celebrate their love, which, is a logical way of thinking about it. I mean, some people are absolute as to you have to celebrate every Hallmark holiday. I mean, one of the companies I still work for when this is before COVID, when we had to go into the office every day, and I remember one of my coworkers, I his wife, he was like, "I don't know." I goes, "I just did something like 6 weeks ago, and now I gotta think of something totally unique again to come up with for this particular day." So, it's Valentine's Day, and then it's her birthday, and then it's our anniversary, and it's Mother's Day, and then it's sweetest day. Well, that's, like, in a few weeks from now, but you get the drift. I mean, it just keeps going on, and the money people spend on it too. So, you know, I'm definitely we can forget every other day. Even if I got to get, I don't know if I'd ever get married again or not if I had a partner, but whatever day we thought was like our day or whatever, I could care less about that as well, I guess. Just don't forget my birthday. You don't even have to get me a card. Don't get me flowers because they die in a week, and you spend a ton of money on them right now. So I'm okay without flowers. I'm a practical gal. You get me something that I want. Like right now, I need a travel steamer. They make real small ones, and you can put water in them, and they heat up, and you can just steam your clothes. Since I'm going to the book launch and trying to pack as little as possible so that I can just take carry-on, so I don't have to spend the extra $50 there and $50 back to have a regular size suitcase. And I'm pretty sure I can do it. I just have to be smart about what I'm wearing and how I'm packing. So, shoes are the biggest problem with packing. Women, this, especially if you're dressing up. I I have to Like, I'm gonna bring 1 pair of shoes, black shoes, obviously, since they go with everything, and I'm working my outfits around my shoes. So that's my my biggest thing. So I'm having my shoes I'm wearing to the airport so that I don't have to pack a big clunky set of hiking shoes or anything, and then I'll have a pair of dress shoes, and I think that's all I'm bringing. So You guys have been together 25 years? Wow. Well, you're not married, so you don't have a wedding anniversary, but whatever date, right, that you say that you got together or, committed yourselves to each other. But 25 years, that's awesome. That's awesome. I grew up in the era where you get together, you get serious, and you get married, right? You did not live together beforehand. I mean, even when I was engaged to my husband, if we were to be in the same place, like I think we went on a trip with my parents and we could not sleep in the same room together. He had to sleep out in the pullout and I slept in the room. We had two connecting rooms with my parents. My parents had a bedroom and I'm like, "We're engaged," and it was like, nope, not doing it." Whereas I was listening to a psychologist and she said, actually, from the standpoint of it's different dating. Even if you see each other every day, if you're not having to deal with that person's morning routine, maybe they're not a morning person, don't talk to them before they get their coffee, or that person who leaves their socks in the living room, if that drives you nuts, all these little things that you can kind of work the kinks out, or you can decide, listen, this person's not willing to change, and this drives me absolutely bonkers. I, I can't do this. So she said, in the long run, live together for like a year and then decide about the marriage thing. I'm really kind of on board with that idea. And so I am not pushing the get married, with my son. He's not at that point yet, but when he is, if he's that serious about somebody where he's thinking about marriage, I have told him, I said, I consider living together before you actually decide to commit to the marriage thing and just kind of give it a try. And I see the logic in that. I know some people are going to be the exact opposite and you are going to be totally against me, and because that's not the way things should go, and I respect your opinion on it. I 100% do. Like I said, that's how I was raised. But I will tell you, if I had a little more time, if I had lived with my first husband for a while before we were already committed and we were already married and had that ceremony and everything, I might have changed my mind about like spending the rest of my life with this person. I mean, we made it 10 years, 15 years. We were together 15 years total, but um yeah, I don't know that I would have. So second guessing myself on that. And that kind of really leads me into what I wanted to talk about today. I don't have a trauma topic per se to speak about today, but it's the beginning of the month. It's a new beginning, it's a new month. And new beginnings has definitely been my theme for the year. I see 11s and 12s everywhere, which in angel numbers, I guess, are signs of new beginnings. And our lovely Jimena has done several tarot readings for me, and every one that she does is consistent in terms of what it's what my future is looking at, what I need to be doing now. It's stay the course, believe in myself. This is a time of new beginnings. Things are happening, and they have. I mean, look at this year. I've got a chapter in a book coming out. I'm going to Vancouver. I'm going. I got the award in April. I've been able to interview just some amazing people with the channel. There have been a lot of huge things that have happened this year. So my big question for you guys, and I'm gonna throw it out here first, and then I'm gonna talk a little bit more, is what new beginning are you gonna start this month? What new thing can you commit yourself to? And this can be a real small thing, it can be a big thing. But I got thinking about this even more because I listen to these AI stories during work sometimes when I'm not doing real challenging work and I can just kind of listen to it in the background. And there was a line in it that just really struck me. I liked how the author stated this. And what they said was regret usually isn't about the opportunities you didn't take, but about not becoming the person you could have been if you had made better choices. I'm going to state that one more time because I really had to think on this. It struck a chord with me. Regret usually isn't about the opportunities we didn't take, but about not becoming the person we could have been if we had made better choices. And when I framed certain pieces of my life in that perspective, it made a lot of sense to me. And in a way, it took the burden off. And I don't know if this is going to make sense to anybody else, but there are points in my life that I regret not making different decisions, or I regret not taking that opportunity, or regret making a decision that took me in a different direction. And when I think about it, yeah, it's not about a loss of opportunity, but who I could have been. Like, I think about my job now, and if I had left more voluntarily from my job with the Court of Appeals and gone straight into the work that I'm doing, I can see myself being at least a team lead or even maybe a project manager by this point in my life in the legal field that I'm doing right now, because I had that drive and I had that focus, but I didn't. You know, I made a decision to be with my second husband. I mean, he led to my wonderful child, so I certainly can't regret that. But if I hadn't gotten married then, if I had taken more time in between my marriages to really be on my feet, who would I be today? I think I still would have ended up here, but in terms of my legal position, um, I don't think I would have had my mental break. Um, I possibly could even still have been at the Court of Appeals, getting ready to retire in another 5 years. It's definitely would been a very different life. And this is something that I've been speaking to my son about a lot because he's just at the beginning of his adult life where he's having to make decisions about having to make decisions that are going to affect the trajectory of his life now. And do you go after your dreams or do you play it safe? Do you stay in a relationship or do you seek other, opportunities that maybe aren't compatible with keeping that relationship? All of these questions that kind of surround him now. Do you stay in the job that you're working at now, making, decent money, or do you really try and transition to something else? And this is totally going to, affect where he goes and who he becomes, who he meets. the people, the environment. So there, I try and use my life for with him as much as I can, and framing it in terms of, oh, I wish I had made that decision differently, or I wish I would have taken this opportunity, or I wish, not looking at that and framing it in terms of, who would I have become if I had chased my dream of doing archaeology versus staying in a relationship, because I couldn't see me chasing an archaeologist, and I couldn't see being an archaeologist and still being married because I'd have to be gone. And at that point in my life, early 20s, it's like I had been gone once for 6 months and another time for 3.5 months. And I didn't want to do that again, young love, right? And but if I hadn't had that relationship, if I hadn't kept that relationship and gone to college with that relationship, if I'd broken that off when I went to college, what would my college years have been like? Probably pretty different. So just framing it in terms of who I could have become, I think for me, it's a healthier way of thinking about things in terms of the long range trajectory, right? So in looking at this month, being a new month, and thinking that what can I do different this month? It's a new beginning. Well, there is a pair of jeans that I want to look just this much better in by the time I get to my book launch. I got a month to do it, and it's possible. It's definitely possible, but it means I have to move. I have to exercise. I sit way too much. I'm either sitting working my job, I'm sitting working on the YouTube channel. I'm always in front of a computer or relaxing, listening to some AI stories, sitting in the chair, in my reading chair, or on the couch. I've got to move more. I've had periods where I've said, I've committed myself, oh, I'm gonna, and I just haven't been able to stick with it. But I've got my shoes out, I've got my socks out, and I have my 6-month follow-up MRI for my breast exam tomorrow morning, 6 a.m., bright and early. I'm not even going to be awake for that, which is probably for the better. And I expect all good things as a result with that. I don't expect any changes. So I'm anticipating good news coming off of that. I'm going into it with that head, and I just said, you know what, I'm gonna commit myself to movement, to exercising more, but more importantly, committing myself to some form of movement. My desk is a stand-up desk. So if my movement is just doing some squats or doing some leg raises or something, as I'm standing and working for a little while, um, or it's going for a walk, or just something. So it's not a matter of saying, well, I'm going to do 28 days of chair yoga or wall Pilates or something like that, which are both things that I'm interested in. But for me, the just committing to saying, um, I'm going to move gives me a little more flexibility in terms of just what I do, depending on my day and how much I have going on, and, appointments and things of that nature. So that's that's what I'm going to be doing this month. So my question for you guys is, what can you do this month? What do you want to do this month? And if what you want is something big, what are the steps that you need to take to get there? So let's focus on that first step. And you can put a timeline to it. It can be, that first step doesn't need to have a timeline. Depends on, that something big is, like I have a month and I am either going to look better in those jeans or I'm not, right? It's going to be what it's going to be by the end of the month. Hey, Patty, how are you? Oh, thanks for dropping by. You wanted to be an archaeologist too? Oh, another one at heart. Yay. Yeah. Um, Egyptology is certainly something that caught my attention. I much more enjoy, I think, digging up pottery or buildings or things like that than discovering skeletons. Um, I would be okay with skeletons. I could not ever be a surgeon, a doctor, surgeon. Just the blood and the guts and all that. The blood itself doesn't bother me. It's the guts. There's squishy and I more morticians and um the people who do the autopsies. Oh my gosh, they have got to have stomachs of stone. It would just be like, whoa. I look fine. Aw, Audrey, thank you. I challenge you guys to say how old I am, but I think most of you already know how old I am, so I don't think that that's a really fair fair thing to say. How old do you think I am? Because most of you already know. It is hard business unless you get grants, and at the point when I was thinking about it, because I'd have to go to grad school, because that's not what I went to undergrad for. I would have had to go to grad school, and there's a lot of writing involved, not only with writing grants, but with writing up your research, right? It's not just digging around in the dirt. You've got to analyze all that stuff and write. And I was a good writer, but I hated writing. So I couldn't square those two things. It was like, okay, there's half of it that I would absolutely love, and then half of it I would absolutely hate. And I couldn't see being an archaeologist. So that was another thing that kind of swayed me with my decision in regards to being an archaeologist. Um, but yeah, most archaeologists are teachers at some university, professors or whatever, because you've got to have an income. So unless you're independently wealthy and can fund your own expeditions, it's kind of hard. Not illusion, you're back. Well, thank you again for wishing me a happy birthday and have a good evening whenever you're off. Judge says, I agree. I would make a few different life choices if I had to do it again. I would have studied something actually useful. It's, I mean, I think it's human nature. As we get older, we look back at our lives and we can see those mistakes that we make, and we're not always going to turn our mistakes around or learn from them, right? Sometimes we make the same mistakes, but in a different context because we don't really learn from them as much. But, they say hindsight is 2020, but I was not prepared for life. I've been reading a lot of stories or listening to a lot of stories that have a military bent to them. And it's really helped put my childhood in perspective a lot more for me. Um, my dad's retired lieutenant colonel in the Marine Corps, and how he raised us. He came back from he had my brother, went to Vietnam, had me. I was a happy welcome home from Vietnam baby. And then my parents were 19 and 22 when they had my brother. So just 3 years later, they had me. So they're very young. And my dad was coming right out of the military of active duty. And so that's how he raised us, was how the military basically, would have raised us. There was one way to do something, and it was the right way. And I understand that from his perspective, but it didn't allow me the freedom to explore as a kid, to kind of make my own mistakes, to figure out a project and problem solve for myself. And I see this in it later on in life, and even now, sometimes I struggle with this. Instead of searching for a solution first, my first instinct is to ask somebody for the answer. Somebody I know who knows the answer, is just to ask them, because there's one way to do something, right? And you go to the person in charge and say, okay, how do you want this done? Or how do I get from A to Z? Instead of sitting down and figuring it out, and it may take me a little bit longer, but that's not the most efficient way, and if somebody else knows the answer and they know how to get you from here to there, that's what you do. So I think that in that respect, I see the benefit of allowing kids, much more freedom to be able to figure things out on their own and problem solve and make the mistakes. And I think that's part of the reason why the creative side, I have a little bit of a creative side, not really much, but I have a little bit of a creative side, but I have to nurture it. I really have to nurture it. And just, looking at my childhood in a military lens, seeing how much that affected how my dad raised us, how he viewed things, it really, I've had some epiphanies, to be quite honest with you. That problem solving was one of them. And but his whole thing was, I remember it clear as day. We were standing in the garage. It was the summer before I left for college. I think it was a week or two before I left. I know it was like pretty close to the time. And basically, my dad was, you're 18 now. Well, not quite. I was still 17 at the time, but you're going off to college. I've tried to teach you right from wrong. If you haven't learned it by now, you're not going to. Verbatim is what he said to me. And I thought, well, that's kind of a real black and white way of looking at things, right? But that was my dad. Things were black or white. And I see the same mistakes that, I made with my son early on, that now that I have much better self-awareness and a better understanding of why I came to be the way I am today, I think that it has put me in a much better place to be able to help my son navigate adulthood, to give him some ideas about how to be able to go into his young adulthood and start making these decisions that are going to affect the trajectory of his life. You know, I got set free basically, and it was, you graduate college, but nobody told me what I was supposed to do after college or how to do anything after college. I I got a poli-sci degree because I had wanted to go to law school, but I knew I couldn't afford to go to law school right afterwards, so I didn't know what to do. Literally afterwards, I I got married right after I graduated, and I sat in my house for weeks and just not I didn't know what to do. So preparing, preparing our kids and being able to help them and guide them and give them some life advice uh, beyond when they're small. I think it's really important, and I feel so much more prepared to be able to do that now. There are other people who definitely are better at it than I am. Um, my parents were not very good at giving advice. My mom was a hug, and it'll go away. She was the emotional support. If you wanted concrete advice, you would have to go to my dad, but that would be an hour discussion because he would want to know all of the variables. It was never like, okay, if you have this scenario, would you do X or would you do Y? He could never answer that. It would be, well, it depends. Is this the case or is that the case? Is this the case or is that the case? And I remember this is probably even only a year ago, and I asked my dad something and said, if somebody had said this to you, would you have said this or would you have said this? And I asked my mom this, and I said, let's ask dad. And I said, I guarantee you, he's not going to give us an answer. And sure enough, and my mom and I burst out laughing because it was so quintessential my dad. I love him to death, and I understand him so much better now. I could say, I wish I understood my childhood earlier, but knowing the trajectory my life took, I don't think that I was ready to look at that, especially given the trauma that was interwoven amongst it. So I come down, I'm not hugely religious. I'm Jewish by default because that was my mom. That's what I was raised as. So I still consider myself Jewish, but I more kind of say, well, this is where I am right now in the universe, and kind of look to the universe for guidance. Not that everything's fate, but I kind of feel like there are certain points in time that kind of regardless of what decisions you made, you would have come to these cross sections. And it may have been in a different context, but you would have had to make similar type of choices. I don't know if anybody else has ever kind of felt that. So it's like, fate and free will intertwined. Awakened. Welcome, by the way, Awakened, and thank you for the happy birthday. I really appreciate it. So I was never introduced the that's good enough scenario. Not good for an OCD as well. So yeah, it was, in my house, if you got an A minus, why wasn't it an A? And at the time I took it really as a criticism because it was like, I got an A minus. You can't be happy for me. That's not good enough. My dad's point in it was there's always room for improvement if you didn't get all of it right. So understanding why you didn't get certain things right is important so that you don't make those same mistakes again, right? This is the military and him trying to fix this. But all I heard was it's not good enough. So, yeah, military lifestyle doesn't translate to kids very well. Some kids, it does. I will say this. I have known some kids who have been raised by very strict military families, and their personality very much aligns with that. But they're very different people. for me and my personality and who I think I was meant to become, yeah, it doesn't square so well. I needed a little bit looser of an environment, I think, to have become who I was going to be early on. And I think that affected a lot of my decisions along the way. And I can see how some of the decisions that I made when it came decision time, I didn't rely on my gut. I didn't rely on what I wanted or what I really thought that I should do. I kind of flipped back to that. I wasn't thinking, what would my dad do? But it was, what should I do? What is the right answer here? There's one right answer, and then I've got to figure it out. So I wasn't following my own course. So again, I kind of go back to that regret thing and thinking, yeah, it's more of regret over or who I would have become. But is it okay to have regrets? I think it's okay to have regrets, but we can't dwell on those regrets. We can't focus on them. We can't let them dictate our current lives because we have to be moving forward. We need to be, if you're not who you want to be, we need to be figuring out, how do I get there? And this has definitely been a big learning year for me personally. Last year was a learning year, but it was almost like a base learning, a learning in I learned so much about trauma, things that I kind of knew on an intrinsic level, but it was like that book learning because I had to present it to y'all. I had to do the research and I had to get the book knowledge out of all of it. It was like going back to school, right? And once I had all that, it was like this year, those lessons that I learned from that, I started putting them more towards myself. I was reflecting much more on myself and who I was and who I wanted to be. And I'm not quite there yet. I'm getting there. I feel so much better about it at this point in time, and I'm excited to see where the year ends. I'm excited about the book launch. One more month, guys. One more month. I can't wait. There's so many people who I've started connecting with who are going to be there that it's fabulous. I'm actually gonna have about I think 1.5 days of free time in Vancouver, and there's some other people who've never been to Vancouver, so they've got extended stays as well. So we're gonna kind of hook up and go out to lunch or um, go see some of the sites or whatever. So hanging out with some of these women, it's just going to be an amazing experience. I'm very much looking forward to it. This is a really good way to look at things too, Misha. We are exactly who we're supposed to be at the exact right time and place. What we do with it is the most important thing, in my opinion, anyway. Yeah, and this kind of goes back to what I was saying in terms of the universe. Trust trusting in it to help me, to guide me, to get me to where I should be. Um, but listening to myself has been my biggest lesson, I think, so far this year in terms of things that I want to do, not just doing the things I think that I should do. Um, the book is a perfect example. I knew it was going to be a huge financial undertaking when I started it, but just the opportunity that not only the publishing, will bring, but what I learned through the process of writing, the truths that I had to face was monumental for me. And so there was great life lessons in going through that process and doing that writing. So even if the publication doesn't springboard me into the things that I hope for, there was still huge value in this. And I know that this Vancouver trip has just such potential for, meeting people and networking and things like that. I just have to have the guts to take it on. I do have some social anxiety, particularly in the professional context. In the trauma, I mean, we're still barely 650 subscribers. I mean, we've been there for 6 months. Um, we're not even making it into double digits in terms of people in the chat anymore. And so my confidence is wavering a little bit in terms of standing up and saying, I'm worthy to be here, right? S- So I have to put that aside. I have to put that aside and say, I'm there. Surviving together is what, gave me a base for being able to do this book. But I need to go into the mindset that I'm there and I deserve to be there because of my story, because of the book. I mean, that's the prime reason I'm there is the book launch. And not looking at the numbers, right? We all get sucked into this YouTube game sometimes about the numbers, but it is it's about the people I help. And so if there's only 5 people on here every live, and they're not always the same 5 people, right? Some people can come on different days, some people can come at different times, and it's the comments that I get in other people's shows when somebody says, "I'm so glad that you have the channel." And that's what I need to focus on, um, and take with me as my buoying force, right? Of it doesn't matter about how small my numbers might be. I'm affecting lives. And even if that was only affecting the same 2 lives, same 2 people, that's worth it. It's worth it because I'm making a difference then. And I just have to remind myself of that sometimes. And so if I ever get, boo-hooey about numbers on here, you guys have free reign to kick my butt, all right? Because it's not where I need to be. Not where I need to be at all. It is going to be the next chapter, Mac, maybe even the beginning chapter of a whole new series. Grab that pen and roll. Yeah, we'll see. I've had some ideas rolling around about a full book. I don't know that I have enough for a full book yet, but I've got some ideas about some things. Maybe by this time next year. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if I'll do more writing or not. Um, you know, I've had a few other offers to be in some other anthologies, but right now the cost is just prohibited. I've maxed out everything and sucking off from everybody for this book and this trip. maybe a year from now. We'll see about that. I don't have the resources some other people do to be able to just, put them out for left and right. Hey, Jimena, thank you, dear. We're thinking of you. We said it at the very beginning. Mwah, mwah, mwah. We're thinking of you, and we're sending you lots and lots and lots of hugs and love. Kizzy Oliver, you look like a new name. I haven't seen you here before. Hey, how are you? Welcome. Welcome to Surviving Together. This is kind of a little bit different of a live than we normally do. I'm not covering trauma per se, but definitely from a new beginning standpoint. I have been a little frozen thinking about the book. As I've been talking, it's been overwhelming thinking about the launch and what I want to come out of the launch and the networking that I need to do. And I've definitely been having that freeze mode going on. And I need to get out of my head. Yet another reason for my commitment to moving every day this month. Again, definitely exercise is the goal, but movement of some sort more than I have been, right? Um, because I do want to look a little better in those jeans, guys. I do. I don't want to buy new jeans. I don't want to have to buy new clothes. I might have to buy a new skirt. We'll say. We'll see. But yes, welcome, Kizzy. Welcome. So if you're late to the party, we were talking about new beginnings. It's the new month. It's my birthday. We are also celebrating DeAudrey Gore getting a new job. So that's exciting as well. If anybody else has any other good news or anything else that's going on, shout it out. We'd love to hear about it. I'd love to talk about it and let everybody know about it. Yeah, and we're just on 7 o'clock now. Audrey must really go to sleep. Yes, you need to get up early for that job. So, and I'm just about to sign off as well. So, not to you, Deaudrey, but to everybody else, I do. I want you to think about what is something that you can do this month to further a goal, any goal. It can be a small goal, it can be a big goal, but what's one step that you can do? One step, small step that you can commit to do this month. Mine is movement. Mine is moving more. I think was it Patty? I think Patty had said that she needed to move more. So we'll do it together, Patty, okay? We'll check in. Every time you're here, we're gonna check in with each other and we're gonna see how's it been going. Have you been moving? All right. So, whether it's here or whether we see each other at Stigs sometimes or Theme Deuce, we'll check in with each other, okay? So maybe we can hold each other a little accountable with that. Oh, DeAndre, thank you so much. She says, "You're so worthy, Mac. You make my life better. You help people. Quality content means a lot." I really appreciate that. And yeah, it's just something that I have to remember. I mean, I didn't start this channel to be a million subscribers. That's not what this is about. When you get on other people's channel and they're talking about their numbers, and you just kind of get sucked into it a little bit. And I have to always take that step back and remind myself, you know what? It doesn't matter. If we're 650 subscribers for the next 2 years, that's okay. That's okay. As long as there are people out there who are getting something out of my content, who still want me on, who still want to hear what I have to say about this and are getting something out of the community, because it's not just about me being up here and like me being here for you. It's about all of us being here for each other. It's about having this space so that we can lift each other up, so that we can help each other. And every time I see in a comment that somebody reaches out and says, hey, somebody makes a comment, says, I'm really having a hard time with this. And somebody else says, hey, contact me after the show and, hook up with me on Facebook or catch me on Discord or whatever. And are reaching out to each other and are making that support network for each other outside of the channel. That makes my heart swell. That's what this truly is about. Is about building this community and building a support network that, people can have. So that just makes my day. Somebody said, hang on, I'm seeing. Patty says, Mac, when I see you on here, I picture you reaching out your hand to help someone else up. Oh, thank you. And that's what I see with you guys. Like I was just saying, you guys do that. And every time you welcome somebody new here, like Kizzy, you know, there's no judgment here. If you're looking for support, if you're looking for community, if you're looking for positivity, if you're looking for people to help you show you the way or just to understand where you are, you're in the right place because that's what this community does for each other. We love you, Jimena. We love you so much, and we're thinking of you. Misha asked, were you able to watch my latest video yet? It was made to bring awareness to DV. Yeah, and actually, this is on my schedule. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to fit it into October yet, because I'm still kind of deciding on what I'm going to do. And there's a couple of people I'm talking about bringing on as guests, and I may want to. I'll get your permission ahead of time, but I may want to play that video when I have a DV guest on. There is a woman who runs an organization in regards to DV who I'd love to bring on. Um, Not that we don't have people in our community already who are willing to share their stories and have been through DV, which is domestic violence. We certainly do. This woman, it's just she's kind of taken it to that next level. So not only has that personal experience, but it's where she went with it and what she's been able to do, and kind of seeing it from that 1,000-foot perspective, um, having interacted with so many DV survivors. Um, so it's yeah, I'm hoping to connect with her, and if I don't, I think she is going to be at the America Summit. So that's why I said I'm not sure if I can do it I'm going to do it in October, or if maybe November is going to be more of the date. Um, I did hear that I'm not getting the books for like 6 to 8 weeks after the launch. So that's going to put us either mid to end December or the beginning of the year, before we get our physical copies of the books. But I will be having a giveaway and giving away some copies of the book once I do get them in hand. Oh, good. And here is the link to Misha's video that she did. She's put that in the chat for everybody. It definitely is a message that needs to be heard, Misha, and I 100% agree with you. And it's been on my list for some time, and yeah, gone back and forth as to how I wanted to cover it. And I think, I actually might do a two-part series because there's a couple different aspects that I want to cover that I think both should be covered in depth with it. You know, we've talked about grooming, but there's definitely a grooming process with DV. And then there's the DV cycle once you're in it. And then there's the how do you get out? You know, how do you come to the realization that you need to get out? And then there's the after you get out, you know, the recovery aspect of it. And it's a big thing. So and I don't want to shortchange any of it. So I'm thinking I might do it in two parts, but definitely still on my list. Thank you for putting it in front of my face. And you said yes, I can use the video with it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I will definitely keep that in mind when I get that put together. And Patty just became a new subscriber to Awakened by the Looking Glasses channel. Yay! I love seeing those connections. I love seeing those connections. Misha says her video came deep from the heart, the one that she did. All your videos do, though. You pour your heart and soul into each of the videos, the ones that I watch, and the ones that are, you know, on a serious note. They're very much um, moving. You know, I'm near tears with every one of them. So. All right, guys, I've just been babbling on for a little bit here. So with this, we're gonna end for today. I might even take a bath. It's cool enough outside. I wish I had a window in my bathroom that I could open. I do have one window, but you can't open it. It's just a pain. It would be so nice to have like a little, be in a really, really hot bath, but then have like a little bit of a cool breeze coming through. I almost feel like I was in a hot tub outside. That would be so cool. So, yes, I'm gonna enjoy my day, and then I am up early, early, early as well because I have to be to the hospital by 6 o'clock in the morning. I'll probably have had 4 cups of coffee by then. They're gonna be like the MRI, stay still. I'd be like, I get the jitters. We'll see. Uh, yes, thank you for reminding me again. Hit the like button on your way out, guys. Please leave comments after the show if you can. If you're on replay, even if you just leave replay, but I'd love to hear from you. What's one thing that you think you want to work on this month, or one thing that you're going to change? Um, yeah, I'd say we'll just leave it at that. So remember, you are worthy, you are valuable, and you are loved just the way you are for who you are. So hugs and love from me. Mwah. I will see you Saturday at 3 p.m. I will be putting up a thumbnail probably tomorrow about that. And in the meantime, have a good rest of your week. Again, DeAudrey, best of luck tomorrow at the new job. And enjoy the outro, guys. Surviving together, never alone.
Through the fire, through the rain, we have walked through endless pain, but we stand, we rise again, stronger now, we break the chain, surviving together, hearts open wide, lifting each other through every tide. The past may have shaped us, but it won't define tear, every scar tells the story of who we are. Not just survivors, but warriors too. With love as our armor, we see this through. We see you, we hear you, and we believe in you. Surviving together, hearts open wide, lifting each other through every tide. The past may have shaped us, but it won't define. Together we heal, together we shine. We see you, we hear